What up, guys? I'm gonna... Hey, how's it going? I'm gonna get a phone rest, I think, because if I was such a chilly angle, it looks like I'm trying to look down on you, and I'm certainly not. And I'm back in my mum's house this morning. I have got the windows open, and I'm smoking, but she's from the 90s, and I do believe she has a couple of fags in there. Yeah, I could tell, so... Yeah, but basically I'm gonna have a rant about the fact that I've just had to go. I was going to try and do something spiritual and awakening and uplifting. But then I've just had to go into school for a attendance meeting with the head teacher. Now, my school's lovely. The head teacher's sound. She's like changed the school a lot. She's got a sandpit in the school and she's really sound teacher. Then the whole school is lovely. Good, yeah. But I'm being fined for taking my child on holiday in term time and for her having a little bit of sickness as she started for reception. But the government changed it last year, and I'm not sure if any British people... Well, actually, it's if you have over 5 days as well, and we had 6. But apparently they're allowed to fine each parent for each child. So that's about £600 they're going to fine me for going on holiday. Now, I'm sorry, but I just feel like we're still in the days where we've got like the highway roadmen, whatever, you know, where they're just, oh, you're on our road, you've got to pay taxes. Like, and we talk about that as like a dark time where... Now, I'm all about trying to support Britain and trying to put in my taxes and stuff. But this is another thing. We are, my family, we are just at the bracket for getting any benefits. I don't want benefits. I'm not saying I want British benefits, but we're that unlucky family where we my partner alone and just over the bracket. So we end up worse off than people that get benefits. Now, I'm sorry, but like, is this going to change at some point? Yeah. Because we pay so much tax. One thing as well, we are, and they should be accounted for individual families. We're a really healthy family that hardly ever used the NHS. Saying that, I've had 4 children, but most of them were like home births, so they weren't expensive on the NHS. And we're healthy people. We hardly see the doctors, and like I'd even rather pay a fine if I had to go to, you know, that's what it's obviously like in America. I'm not saying that I don't love the free, but it's not a free NHS, is it? Okay, because nothing's free. Schools aren't free. Look how much they've just fined me. Look how much the uniform is. Look how much it is to get everything for kids for school, basically, you know, and how many bloody fundraising days they have, and they stitch you up. And I'm a stay-at-home mum, which I feel means that I am less stressed. I do the tidying. I'm there for my children as soon as they come through the door. And I'm not saying anything against mums that work full-time as well. It must be absolutely excruciating to get everything done. But I don't get any credit for raising British citizens, you know, and I fucking mean it. Like, they're good citizens, and it should be accounted that I'm working for Britain, mate, because I'm bringing up people that aren't going to be backwardly twisted. I'm doing my bit. I'm like all mums are, you know, and it's just, yeah, to find me for taking my child out of school is, a fag's gone out and I haven't got a light on her. That's bloody cool of me, wasn't it? But to find me for taking my children out on holiday. Now, I'm sorry, but I just don't want to fucking pay it. I don't want to pay it. My partner is self-employed, and the HM Revenue keeps sending us letters all the time saying, you owe this from 5 years ago, you owe this from 7 years ago, and they keep throwing like £2,000 bills at us all the time, even though we did put our tax returns in, and we haven't had any tax returns since the stupid furlough days of the 2020, where considering I was in hospital for a whole month with a newborn, with a premature baby in the NHS. My partner had to take time off work, like about 6 weeks off work just for the COVID, and then other time off work for COVID, like all the other working families. We were promised at the time that we got quite a lot of furlough money, like quite a lot, because of, again, he's a high, I've got a dirty sock in my hand. He's a high earner. So in the furlough days, they took what you normally earn and then like paid you it, basically. So we've got quite a lot of bloody money through furlough, but we've been paying it back ever since and more. And the government knew that that was the plan on Britain, and it is just rubbish. And apparently the new fining system came in for parents last year. They didn't let me know that, oh, every holiday will be fined now, because apparently they've had a lot of problems with people's attendance since COVID times, even though they were telling you had to have 5 days off bloody school. My whole family had to keep coming off school when one child was ill in the COVID times. I couldn't get to I had a job at the time. Yeah, so it's just, I just feel like they're just trying to stitch us up all the time. And I just feel like ringing them up and having a massive go at them, basically. Same as the bloody doctor systems in Britain. My dad's had high blood pressure, and they tried to put him on some tablets straight away. He went on the tablets, he starts getting gout, he gets all of these other symptoms from the bloody tablets. They ring him up like 6 months later, they're like, oh, how are you getting on with your tablets? And he's like, well, considering I've only had 1 month off you, I haven't even been on these tablets. Oh, we were just seeing about, they just didn't even know what they was doing when they were ringing him up, right? Going, how are you getting on with the tablets? He said, well, I've stopped taking the tablets because they were giving me gout. And they were like, well, they shouldn't have been giving you gout, sir. I don't know. Oh, no, they shouldn't have been. And then he's done his research. And he's like, well, actually, if you look it up, love, that is the number one symptom for taking these tablets, is that you could get gout. And she's like, oh, like, you know, she had no idea. And I'm not saying it's the poor NHS receptionist lady's fault, but she didn't know what she was doing. You can bloody doctor yourself better just by going on Google. And yeah, I'm going to say AI doctors, mate. AI doctors, bring it bloody on, because doctors are inhuman and they have a lot of patience. And you're telling me that they know exactly what's wrong with me when I know what's wrong with me better when I go to the doctor. I bet you 100%. So yeah, I'm not saying that we don't need doctors, but there is a lot of money being paid out to people for their jobs. It's just like a fucking waste. Look at all these people trying to get all this money off me on like HM revenue and the tax people, and just Britain's a mess. And then you've got the people in between that aren't encouraged to be happy or fulfilled, and they're like slobbing around at home, probably selling drugs. And basically, just slobbing around because they can't go to work, and then you get all this money, and it's like, and people get celebrated for splitting up. If you split up with your partner, they pay your rent. They pay your rent for you. Yeah, it's just, the system in Britain is absolute nuts. So and I'm sure it's nuts in most countries, but they make out, oh, you should come to Britain, you get a lot of free services. No, if you come to Britain, you work hard and you try and raise a family, they're going to try and make it really impossible for you to feed your family as well. A little girl came to stay at my house this week, and her mum's got 4 children, and I don't think they've got a lot of money, and I don't think they've got a lot of family support. And I'm not picking, because I know that every family struggle to feed their family properly at the moment, as in healthily, just to do with timing as well, because of most parents haven't got time to make a full-on massive meal, right? And they don't make it, they just don't make it incentive enough. So this little girl came to stay at my house, and I often think she looks quite washed out, all right? And I'm not, but I can guarantee that her mum won't be able to afford to buy a lot of fruit, a lot of good red meat. And I don't mean just meat from the shop. I mean good red meat that's come from good places, that's actually full of goodness, and how the food's grown and how it's actually full of goodness, okay? And I am 100% supported, almost like an Indian family in my house, in my family. My mum, thankfully, she only had me, and she was brooding in her 40s, and I ended up having 4 grandchildren that she absolutely submerses her life in, and so do the great-grandparents. Literally, it is like a force. I am lucky. But what I'm trying to get at is my mum will buy juice. She'll buy meat from her workplace for me. She floods me with fruit, and I feel guilty sometimes. I'm like, Mum, we don't need all of this, but she buys it for me because we can't afford to buy it. And my children look so healthy because there are not a lot of children getting enough fruit or vegetables, and just the time. And a lot of parents haven't even got enough time to establish the flavours in the mouths for the children of garlic and all of the spices that we need. Now, going back to what I was saying about my dad's blood pressure, he brought his own blood pressure down with diet, with cannabis probably, and with cod liver oil, okay? There is everything that goes wrong in your life can be, one, fucking healed by quantum healing, if you were able to transcendental meditate and actually heal your own body, which none of us are capable of doing unless you're like really, really clever. And then even if you do end up healing your own body, it never gets properly advertised, and it's not properly told that that is how your mind will work. You can bloody heal yourself. And then another thing, my dad's going into something at the moment where he is working with like an AI doctor algorithm, him and his friend, and they're hoping to hit it off. And basically it's something in like a where you're going to put, like, you're going to write something down on a pad, on an AI pad, and then through the pad it's going to tell your blood pressure, all these things through, I suppose, your hands and the way your blood's pumping, everything. It's going to tell you whether you need to go and see a GP or not. And it's just going to save a lot of money, like having these sort of things, like, yeah, so that money can be paid into different ways. And I'm not saying I want to get rid of doctors and nurses, but there are a lot of people that think that I've got a job, right? I've got a job, so I'm a perfect citizen. And they're just tapping away and going, hello, 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 hello. But then they're not got enough time in their lives to make their lives like, but they feel like that they have to go to that job because that's the safest way for them to make money. Now, Bill Gates, who's on the whole NHS, stuff, says in like 10 years, there's not just going to be as many jobs, is there, right? But it's also going to be more about submersing into what you vibe about. So if you like creating things, if you like chatting, if you like, we can, as the jobs disappear, we will have to make money in other ways that are more fulfilling for the planet. Whether that's even just some bloody litter picking, planting more vegetables, it's just, and that's another thing, like I've just basically said, make sure you're putting as much money into food as you can. And if you've got family members that are around you, I know it's not, and every circumstance is obviously different, and mine's very lucky. Like I said, well, I'm an only child. My grandparents have got a lot of money, thankfully, my grandparents, and they help my children, not because they feel like they have to, because they want to, okay? Because they love my children and they're really proud of the way that I'm bringing them up, actually, because they can know it's not easy. And thankfully, their other daughter, she's got lots of money as well. So it's another thing. I've always been sat in between quite a lot of families. Me and my mum were very skint growing up, but her sister is basically a millionaire, and my granddad these days, is a millionaire, basically. So I'm very lucky to be sat between people that help. In the past, I've felt guilty, but my gran can afford to help me, and she wants to help me. And if you've got grandparents and that are sat on money, sat on your inheritance and things, and you need help, get help from them. Ask them for help. And I don't mean this in a real trying to take the piss way, but if they're going on lots of holidays and they've got a lot of money, make it really clear to them what they can be helping with. And I mean, and I'm not on about, oh, you've got enough money to get by. Oh, you've got enough money to pay your bills and go on holiday and buy some clothes and smoke backy, whatever we all do. Botox, get your hair done. But I'm on about the extra, the fruit, the vegetables, the things that cost a lot of money that are going to keep you healthy, mate. Because these are times where if you're not healthy and you're drinking Coca-Cola, you're gonna die, basically, aren't you, over the next, And you need to make sure that you are constantly trying to make your children unfussy, constantly trying to inspire them with food. And I don't mean with pressure. I mean, with my children, I've let them feel sick many times by eating far too much sweets and chocolate. And I think even themselves, they have learned what makes them feel good. Whether when they're dehydrated, they know they don't feel good. And give your children a bit of control to make some decisions, because they love that as well. They love having control. They love knowing they've worked something out themselves. So if you think you've got a few days where you're not feeding your kids well and they're eating literally whatever they want, and then you go and feed them healthy, they will be noticing. They will be noticing. And it's especially with parents that say, oh, they won't eat this, they won't eat that, they won't eat a jagged potato, they won't eat... You know, I just gently said to my sister-in-law the other day, well, when you wouldn't eat a jagged potato, covered them in quite a lot of oil and salt, and I cut them in half, and then they were like, oh, big roast potatoes. So it's just about being clever, being psychologically clever, and just things like when I get this when I get this bill through, all I want to do is not pay it. And like the head teacher was saying, well, if you don't pay it, it will grow. It will grow. Now, how is that right as well? That if I can't fucking pay something and I start ignoring it because I don't want to pay it, that it grows. So how am I not supposed to feel, for example, yeah, a bit of a strong word, but like suicidal, some people could feel. Imagine if I was on the brink of and I do realise that if I ring up H and Revenue and I tell them all this, they are human. They might let me pay it over 10 years. Okay, but a lot of people don't realise that they're going to manipulate you on the phone and they just go and pay. I just don't know, but I'm just saying there's so much fucking pressure in life and there's not enough celebration on the joy and the changes that are coming. And, you know, they're putting a lot of money into a lot of shit in Britain. And I just wish that we could all just start again. So, yeah. On that note, I don't think there's anything really else to add to such a rant, but keep strong and just keep trying not to be in the system, I suppose, or trying to be in the system, but be hopeful that, you know, yeah. So I've got your backs, families, especially the larger families, and there's people that, yeah, all right? So keep getting support. Don't feel guilty to ask people for help when you need help. Try and, if that's another thing as well, we'll never do anything unless we're told to do it. Like in the war, we all had to grow veg on whatever patch of grass we had for Britain. But nowadays we don't. We just trim the grass down every bloody, we don't grow enough food. I don't grow any food. I'm moaning here about the price of food and I've got plenty of space to grow potatoes and that. We all need to get with it, basically. We all need to get with it. All right? Gone are the days in the 70s where it was microwave mash. Okay? We know better now. Start feeding yourselves properly, all right, guys? Local meat. Yeah. McDonald's, apparently, the potatoes are used, poisonous potatoes, because they're extra long. Then they wash them with chemicals to make them not poisonous anymore. And then it's just all poison, all right? My oldest daughter, who is literally, her third eye is open. Like literally, that's what a healer told me when she was a baby. She won't eat McDonald's. She won't even have an orange juice from there. Like literally, she just, something in her system says no. And I like McDonald's, mate. In fact, actually, when I've been really, 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 really like, woo, coming back from Glastonbury, usually McDonald's brings you back down to earth, okay? So it's good for grounding yourself, like very much. So if you're it grounds you, McDonald's, but that's about it. Did hear something really interesting about how they make the chips once. I think they fire them through through a little grate thing, a whole potato, through like a machine. They shoot it through like 200 miles an hour to make the chips. So yeah, there is hope. Now I do like McDonald's. And it used to be made with beef fat. When it first got brought out, the chips were made with beef fat. Then to make it vegan, it's been changed with all these like different seed oil fats with lots of chemicals in that. So, yeah. Just be careful of how much you're spending on takeaways, because I hardly buy any takeaways, and I used to buy Domino's all the time. We all know what it's like when it's late at night and you feel like a quick burger or whatever, but just Get your palate, your taste buds trained to the taste of garlic, paprika. Me and my partner, when the families come over, we just like cut all these new potatoes in half, covered them in like all these spices, loads of garlic, loads of turmeric, paprika, a little bit of cumin, cayenne pepper's brilliant for high blood pressure. We put them in the oven. Every time they go, oh, I love your potatoes. And all the children love the potatoes. And I've tried to point out to them that they're really easy to make. And I know what it's like myself, because they go, yeah. And they won't make them. They won't make them, even though they're tastier than chips. But they won't. It's because we're all bloody stubborn, aren't we, in our journeys in life? And like you say, you hear things 100 times, and then one day you just hear it different, and you start to make changes. So just keep being able to change. But I am going. I'm honestly, I wasn't trying to hold you up either then, because I know that a long video is a long video, and I'm going. Much love. Namaste. Kiss and bye. I should actually be cleaning up my mum's house for her now, because she's looking after my children when I go to Glastonbury. Yeah, I might do it. Should I do it? I'm going to do a little bit of stuff for her. All right. Love you. Bye.